Welcome, everyone. We're doing the chapter by chapter study of Job. Let's just get right into it. Job chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz. This is the location we're dealing with. We'll probably look at the location and the verse by verse because I want to keep these simple and easy, not so in depth. Whose name was Job. This is almost the main character of the book. You can say God is the main character of every book, but we got the main human character here, Job. And that man was blameless and upright. Notice the language it's using here. A just man. He's blameless. No one can say, look, this guy did this. No, he's blameless and he's upright. He lives according to God's standard. And he fears God and shuns evil. Interesting that it says it says literally turned away from, showing his hatred for evil. He turns in the opposite direction. When something you don't like, you go in the opposite direction. I want nothing to do with that. I hate that. I want to go away from that. He hates evil. And look at the kinds of things he has here, verses 2 and 3. And 7 sons and 3 daughters. What a family were born to him. Also, his possessions were 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large household, so that this man was the greatest of all the people of the East, or the sons of the East. So this guy was a great guy. He had a lot of things. He was blessed by God. Verse 4, and his sons would go and feast in their houses, each on his appointed day, and would send and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them, the 7 sons. So each had their own day. I guess it would be throughout the week. So it was, when the days of feasting had run their course, that Job would send and sanctify them, or says consecrate them, and would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. So he would dedicate the days, right? That's what it means, sanctify, consecrate, dedicate. And he rose early in the morning, offering burnt offerings to the number of them all. He's offering offerings. This is really cool. On the behalf of his sons and daughters. Look at what he says. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus Job did regularly. Whenever it mentions cursed, it's a blessing, but in an evil sense. And this will continue in verse 11, chapter 2, verse 5, and chapter 9. Or chapter 2, verse 9, excuse me. So Job did that regularly. That's his regular routine. What a life. What a guy. What a guy. But watch this. Now we're going to verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan also came among them. And Yahweh said to Satan, from where do you come? Literally the adversary or the accuser. So that's the title given throughout this book. Satan, the accuser. And that's what Christians often call him today, Satan. So Satan answered Yahweh and said, from going to and fro on the earth and from walking back and forth on it. A lot of commentators pointed out this seems to mean that he's gathering evidence to accuse. Verse 8, then Yahweh said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Or set your heart on, literally, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil. Or, again, turns away from. So this is, again, like a great guy. So Satan answered Yahweh and said, does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side? He's protected by God, given things. You have blessed the work of his hand, and his possessions have increased in the land. But now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. Evil blessing. So Satan is making his accusation now. He only loves you for what he has. Take away what he has, and he's going to curse you. He's going to give you an evil blessing. And Yahweh said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your power. Only do not lay a hand on his person, or him specifically. Don't hurt him. Don't harm him. Take whatever you want from him, but don't hurt him. So God giving permission to Satan to hurt Satan, showing his sovereignty and showing Satan's need of God allowing him to do anything in the first place. And then also showing God's restriction. He only allowed Satan to do so much. So Satan goes out from the presence of Yahweh. Verse 13, now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the oldest brother's house. Presumably that's literally every day, not specifically the older brother's house, but every day it seems like they're eating and feasting. And a messenger came to Job and said, The oxen were plowing and the donkeys were feeding beside them. When the Sabaeans, literally Sheba, Job 6:19, raided them and took them away, or fell upon. Indeed, they have killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. So now, look at Job lost his oxen, donkeys, and a lot of servants, and there's one servant left there that escaped, survived. And this is got to be overwhelming for Job, because then while he's still speaking, another also came and said, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Presumably, this is Satan doing this, not necessarily God's fire raining down, because God's allowed Satan to go and do this. It wasn't God himself going, yeah, I'm going to go take everything Job has now. He was allowing Satan to go and do it. So this fire consumed the sheep and servants, and now this is the only servant that escaped to tell you. So he's got two servants here. All right, I lost my sheep. It's fine. But now, look at, while he's still speaking, another comes. Oh my goodness, what the heck? The Chaldeans formed 3 bands, raided the camels and took them away. Yes, and killed the servants with the edge of the sword. And I alone escaped to tell you. I've lost almost everything now. Job is probably thinking, oh my goodness, I lost my camels, I lost my sheep, I lost my oxen, I lost my donkeys, I lost a lot of my servants. I got these 3 guys here. Hope my children are okay. Oh, but look at verse 18. While he was still speaking, another came and said, your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And suddenly a great wind came from across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they are dead. And I alone have escaped to tell you. All these servants coming and saying, giving these news, were probably starting to overwhelm Job. Like, what the heck is going on? And then this is the news he receives. His children are dead. They're dead. By the way, LXX, the Septuagint, omits this word across. But anyways, back to the point. What does Job do? Does he curse God here? Does he do what Satan said he would do? God, what did you do? Why did you take my children from me? My ox, my sheep, everything, my servants. Then Job arose, tore his robe, and shaved his head. It's the signs of mourning. Oh, look at that. He's being sad. He's being angry with God. Well, let's keep reading. Hold on a second. And he fell to the ground and worshipped. Job, when he loses almost essentially everything, worships God. How many of us do that? How many of us, when we lose something, when we suffer, go ahead and worship God? Is that, like, think about it. Do you do that? That's something to think about. You gotta read this book and consider yourself, examine yourself. Think of Job. Don't make him an infallible standard, but think of him like, okay, what is this he's doing? And is this right? And what should I think about this? How should I respond to this? Look what Job says. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord is taken away. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. Yahweh has the right to take and give. Job understand this. And verse 22, in all this Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. He acknowledged God's sovereignty, but didn't blame him. He didn't say, God, this is your fault. No, he acknowledged his sovereignty and says, let your will be done. Chapter 2, and we're going to end with chapter 2. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan also came among them to present himself before Yahweh. So literally repeating what it said back in chapter 1. And Yahweh said to Satan, from where do you come? This is, I should probably point out this before. This is not presenting like God not knowing. He can ask questions without necessarily not lacking knowledge. It's more of a question to get an answer he wants. Or it could be just because as I argued, Solomon wrote the book, as I argue, and it could be just him presenting it in story format, because obviously, like, he's not writing things verbatim, word for word. So he could be presenting that in a story format. That could be another thing. So Satan answered Yahweh and said, from going to and fro on the earth and from walking back and forth on it. Again, gathering evidence to accuse. Yahweh said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil, and he still holds fast to his integrity, although you incited me against him to destroy him without a cause, or literally consume him. So Satan answered Yahweh and said, "Skin for skin. Yes, all that a man has, he will give for his life. But stretch out your hand and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will surely curse you to your face." Again, the evil blessing. So he's Satan is charging, okay, you didn't let me attack him, but now if you attack him, if you let me attack him, he's going to curse you. And Yahweh said to Satan, "Behold, he's in your hand, but spare his life." So Satan went out from the presence of Yahweh and struck Job with painful boils from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. And he took for himself a potsherd with which to scrape himself while he sat in the midst of the ashes. So he was right there, just like scraping, trying to scrape off all those boils. It hurt. And look at what a wife, right? And then his wife said to him, "Do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die." Guys, don't go for a wife like this, right? Look for a godly wife. This is a foolish woman, as Job says. Look at. But he said to her, "You speak as one of the foolish women speak." So this woman here, telling him to curse God. You don't want a woman like that. You want a woman that will support your faith in God and walk with you in your faith in God. So he's telling her, "You speak foolishly. Shall we indeed accept good from God, and shall we not accept adversity, struggle?" And all this Job did not sin with his lips. Job here is pointing that God again has the right to take as he pleases, does as he pleases on earth and heaven. And we'll finish with verses 11 to 13. So now when Job's three friends heard of all this adversity that had come upon him, each one came from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. For they had made an appointment together to come and mourn with him and to comfort him. So they not conspire, but they planned together. We're going to go come together, mourn with him, comfort him, be there for him. And friends should do this, although these guys are really not Job's friends, as we'll read later. And when they raised their eyes from far and did not recognize him, they lifted their voices and wept, and each one tore his robe and sprinkled dust on his head toward heaven. They seem to be sad for his friend. Oh my goodness, the state he's in. Or maybe this is an act, because there's oftentimes where this is done as an act. Professional mourners, which I honestly don't understand that tradition, that Jewish tradition. I don't know if it's commanded in scripture or not, but I don't understand that tradition. I don't know if that's what's going on here, but it could be. Because, they weren't really Job's friends, as we're going to read, as I just said. So they sat down with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his grief was very great. Now, this is something that is true. Some people need time to grieve before you say anything. Some people just need to listen, right? So they didn't say. So I think that what they did here was right. Not speaking word to him, to not try it, because he was very grieved. He was very grieved, and he needed some time to grieve. So I think what they did there was right, but then pretty much everything else they say is like half truths that are missing the point and misrepresenting God, as we'll see at the end. So, yeah. So that's it for Job 1 through 2. That's the Job's prologue right there. And yeah, we're going to be going into, I'm not sure how far we'll go for the chapter studies. I'll have to look at the length of each section and decide how long I want to do. But I guess for now, we're going to end with this. So thank you all for watching. God bless you all, and goodbye. Hopefully we'll get the verse by verse stuff out soon.